whatever, really. If God moved you, you should move. You don't sit still and listen to a sermon. If you've already been into the dwelling house and seen the meeting room there, or if you've been across the street and seen the meeting house where they would worship on Sundays, that building with the 2 green doors, you get inside those spaces and it's just one big wide open spaces with movable benches, and there's no front to it. There's no altar, there's no raised area, there's nowhere to give a sermon from, because they would worship by getting up and moving. Now initially, back in England, where they first started in Manchester, England, in the mid-1700s, and when they first came to America, which was in the 1770s, they would worship by everybody coming together into a common space, and then whatever you were moved to do by God, you could do it. So one person might be stomping out sin, another person might be spinning around until she fell down in a trance, someone might be clapping, singing in tongues, or speaking in tongues. I read one account where a man claimed that God lifted his arm straight up in the air and then pointed him out the door. And so in his words, he followed God out the door. For 2 miles he followed God, and then God turned him around and sent him back. Now you can imagine, especially in Manchester, England, which was a significant manufacturing city even that early, the neighbors were none too pleased with this. It would have looked a little bit more like worshiping the devil than worshiping God. And here in America, they did get away from such near neighbors, but supposedly you could hear a Shaker worship from at least a mile away. And so even if you didn't live right next door to them, you could probably hear it, and it would be a little bit disconcerting to see people worship this way. And even the Shakers themselves began to change this method of worship quite early in their history. So by the 1780s, very soon after the death of their founder, Ann Lee, they start to formalize their worship services much more, where they would all sing together and all dance together, the same dances, so sort of really choreographed line dances for the most part, with men on one side and women on the other. And so that sort of became the norm for much of the 19th century, that they would worship in that manner. But still active and still up and singing. The song I just sang, a lot of people are familiar with it, Simple Gifts. Not everybody realizes it's a Shaker song. It was actually written by a Shaker elder in Maine in the 1840s. And it was Aaron Copland who found a copy of it here in the Berkshires and incorporated it into Appalachian Spring, and I think also into one of his other works. And he kind of slowed the whole thing down a little bit, so a lot of people tend to sing it much more slowly or play it much more slowly than I just sang it, and probably drop those repeats. But that repetition is very common in Shaker music, where you would sing a line and then repeat it, sing another line and repeat that, an AABB structure that's called. But it makes sense when you think about Shaker belief systems and Shaker practices. So first of all, most of you probably know by now that the Shaker religion is a celibate religion, and they relied on converts. They had to have new people join them because they weren't giving birth to new members. And so you've got new people joining who were raised on other religions and with other hymns and other music, and they need to learn the Shaker music, and so you have all that repetition. It's going to be easier to learn a song. But also remember, they're dancing while they worship. They did have hymnals. In fact, the first hymnal that was ever published by the Shakers was published here at Hancock in 1813. But they would study them outside of worship, because if you think about the worship, they're like clapping their hands and they're stomping up and down, and you can't really read a hymnal while you're doing all of that. You're supposed to be doing motions with your arms. You can't read the music while you go. So all of that repetition is going to help. Simple Gifts is actually originally written as what was called a laboring song, a quick dance. So the expectation was that you were going to dance to that, and by laboring, the Shakers mean laboring in the spirit. So dancing, this idea of getting up and singing and dancing for worship, their idea was that it would open you up to a higher plane, and you would be able to access God more readily, and God would be able to access you more readily. And so a Shaker worship would begin with 20 or 30 minutes of quiet contemplation, men on one side of the room, women on the other. So a little bit like a Quaker service, if you're at all familiar with Quaker services. But then someone would start singing, and they'd get up and they'd move the benches out of the way, and everybody would start singing along, and they would begin to dance these laboring dances and laboring songs. So this is your chance, to learn a shaker dance. If anybody wants to give it a try, I'm going to teach you guys at least one, two if everybody's excited about it. And this is a song called Come Life, Shaker Life. So anyone want to try it? What we'll need, well, we're not shakers, so we don't need to have men on one side and women on the other, but we'll need sort of a line of people here facing the gardens and then a line opposite them facing the road. Want to get a few people up and give it a try? This could be your chance. Your one and only chance to do a genuine shaker dance.
It's true. It will be your one and only chance.
Okay. No genuine shakers around here, though. Awesome. So let's sort of try to even, and we might, maybe you guys could back up a little bit. These guys don't have a lot of room to back up. Can you guys all still hear me okay?
Yes.
From there? So let's get, one or two lines, that's fine. So all of the shaker dances hold meaning. All of the motions that they're doing mean something to the shakers. So in this particular case, they would begin by holding their arms out with their palms up to catch blessings from heaven and gather in the blessings like this. And so the first part goes, come life, shaker life, come life eternal. And then they're going to shake off some sin. Shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. And this has that repetition, so we do that again. Come life, shaker life, come life eternal. Shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. Now the second part is the hard part. You have to take 3 steps forward and stomp twice, and take 3 steps back and stomp twice, which sounds really easy. But you have to begin your steps with your right foot, because the right side is the side of God. That is the righteous side. And you have to stomp with your left side, because the left side is the side of sin and evil. Any Latin scholars in the group? No,
Sinistra.
Yep.
Latin word for left is sinistra. So the ancient Romans associated the left with evil, and the early Christians therefore associated it with the devil. This is why if you maybe have known someone, hopefully it's not you, who was born left-handed and forced to learn how to write right-handed, because if you were left-handed, you were more susceptible to the devil's message, you know. That was the thinking behind that. So we have to start with our righteous right foot and stomp on the devil with our left foot. Let me just show you what this looks like, still holding our arms out to catch blessings. And you can do it with me. So we'll start with right. Here we go. Right, left, right, stomp, stomp. Right, left, right, stomp, stomp. Seems easy. The challenge is that after you stomp with your left foot, you will want to you'll tend to step with your left foot because all of your weight's on your right leg, right? So stomp with your left foot and then switch your weight and step with the right. So let's do it. We'll do it twice through, and I'll give you the words to this part. So again, starting with the right. I'll take nimble steps. I'll be a David. I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. Then we do that again. All right? Everybody ready? All right, so I'll stay on this side, and I'll do the singing. And we're starting with this part. Ready? Come life, shaker life, come life eternal. Shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. Come life, shaker life, come life eternal. Shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David. I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David. I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. Let's do it one more time, ready? Come life, shaker life, come life eternal. Shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. Come life, shaker life, come life eternal. Shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David. I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David. I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. Nice job! That was good. You guys want to try another one? Want to do another dance, or
Sure.
enough on a holiday? Okay. If you don't want to, you can have a seat. So this is another song, another laboring song called Yielding and Simple. Here you don't need to be in lines, but you do need to have a little space around you to turn around. So you'll be standing a little bit more still on this one. All right, and this also starts holding out our arms as if we're going to catch blessings, but then we're going to bow down like this. And the first part is yielding and simple. simple may I be, like a pliant willow tree, humble of heart, pure and free. And now we're going to clap and stomp to the right, like this, pride, and then to the left, and bondage, and now we're going to throw all that bad stuff away, spurning. Okay, so let's try that again. Yielding and simple may I be, like a pliant willow tree, humble of heart, pure and free, pride and bondage spurning. And now we're going to act like a willow tree and wave in the wind. Heavenly zephyrs around me blow, gently sway me to and fro. And now bring your arms down in a big circle like this. Cause my soul, and then back up, in truth to grow. And then we're going to turn around once, but we have to turn to the right, to the side of God. And from wrong, be turning. Just like that. That's the whole thing. Okay, so it has the repeats in it, but we'll just do the whole thing once through. Yielding and simple may I be, like a pliant willow tree, humble of heart, pure and free, pride and bondage spurning. Yielding and simple may I be, like a pliant willow tree, humble of heart, pure and free, pride and bondage spurning. Heavenly zephyrs around me blow, gently sway me to and fro, cause my soul in truth to grow, and from wrong be turning. Heavenly zephyrs around me blow, gently sway me to and fro, cause my soul in truth to grow, and from wrong be turning. All right! Good job. Back into the
Hey,
shade.
never know cell phones.